It's thrilling for us to work alongside the American Photography Archives Group to help them build what is a community of people such as yourself that care so much about preserving and protecting great photographic works. ICP was founded by Cornel Kappa, in fact, for those very reasons. He believed that pictures tell stories, and there needs to be an environment and a place where they can be preserved, protected, and presented. And at the foundation of ICP as a center, not only as a school and a museum, but also a very great collection. And what Mary does, what Penelope does, what all of you do in terms of your concerns about pictures and how they'll live a life outside of the immediate moment is central and important to all of us, so that those photographs will continue to tell stories. So I'm delighted that you're here. I'm thrilled that there's a full weekend of activity that talks about these issues, and I turn the podium over to our two organizers, Penelope and Mary Engel, and welcome them at ICP. Good luck. Thanks.
Thank you, Phil. It's a pleasure to be here, no doubt. We have our regular APAG meetings in this room, but it's really nice. So many of you came from far away. There's some California people, there's Canadian, there's Maryland. I'm probably missing a few, but it's really nice you all came here for this event, and I welcome you. APAG started in 2003. Basically, people were sent to me, several people were sent to me, and I would spend hours with them talking about, what I knew about archiving, which was just by having inherited my mother's archive in 1985. So I've handled it almost 30 years, and I don't profess to be an expert, an archivist. I don't have any degree in it, but I've certainly learned a tremendous amount just doing it. So we started with 5 people. We had dinner. Grayson was one of those people. He's one of my right-hand man. He's executive director of APAG. Grayson Dancic, whose father was Jerry Dancic. He's been wonderful. Julia Van Haften is now on my board, who's here. Julia is over here. She's been wonderful. My attorney, Ernie Londa, and the board has been really helpful in the last couple of years. But with 5 people at a dinner, we then grew to like 20, and then we went to SVA, and now we have this wonderful home at ICP, and I'm thrilled to be here. Thrilled also because of what Phil said, the connection with Cornel. Cornel knew my mother and father very well. My mother knew Robert Kappa, shot a famous photo of him in '51. I mean, the connection is deep with ICP, with photography. And the reason we're here is because we all have these incredible either archives or we're photographers, and we want to let the world see them. And that's what I do, and I've devoted my sort of life to do it. But I did used to work I've worked at other jobs. I worked at a talent agency, and my thought was I could represent all these crazy actors and writers, or I could just represent my parents. So I turned it into a full-time job. But I wish it was that easy, because it's not. I mean, we have images, and not only do we want the world to see them, we want people to buy them. We need to preserve them. We need to know what we have. We need to digitize them now. The whole world has changed with our archives and how we manage them and handle them. So it's really exciting that we're here. I've been talking about trying to do this for a while. 2 people that are here, Emma Winter and Julie Graham, is going to be on our panel, definitely were helpful. Melissa Stevens from the Shaw family, and Linda Zimmerman, another member. We had all spent time talking about doing this, but it's only because Penelope Dixon, where is Penelope? Wonderful, so incredibly smart, so dedicated, so organized, said she wanted to help. And so we did a panel at the Howard Greenberg Gallery in May, which some of you were at, and we were able to really pull this together in a very short time. And it's thrilling, I think, for both of us, because the whole goal is to help you figure out what you have and what to do with it, and how to handle it the best way possible. So I'm thanking my APAG board, the people who helped me put this conference together. Of course, ICP, with Phil, and Brian Wallace is here, who's going to be on a panel. Buzz has been amazing in the past. Willis Hartshorn, who was the former head, and now Mark Lubell, who's going to stop by at some point, has been really interesting and helpful in wanting to support us as well. So I think I don't want to talk forever. You're welcome to chat with me at any time. I have a lot to say about what I do about this, but I'm going to turn it over to Penelope. She's going to make a brief introduction, and then we'll get started. We have breaks, written in for coffee, for lunch, and any questions, just ask us and we'll try to help you. But it's really a thrill to have you all here, and I hope you find it inspiring, practical, educational, and maybe a little fun, or maybe you meet some interesting people at the same time. So thank you again.
So hi, I'm Penelope. And first of all, as Mary said, we put this together seriously in 2 months' time with both of us in different countries. I was out of the country for most of the time. It was extraordinary. We met once, we pulled it together, and we met again 2 months later. And here you all are. So I'm just so totally amazed. But we want to thank you for coming to what we hope will be an annual event at ICP now. We know we have more topics that we'd like to cover, and we have more panelists that we'd like to, invite to be on the panels for next year too. So we're really excited. We hope this will just continue to be as good as it's going to be today. The seminar, as Mary said, they had been talking about it. I called Mary because I had this idea about something called the Archive Project, which I'll explain. And this seminar really became the first step. I was actually speaking with Sarah Morthland, who's another appraiser who unfortunately had a bad accident on her leg and will not be part of this, but she'll be here next year. And she said, well, how about a seminar to start it, which is what Mary had been saying. I said, perfect, so let's do it. I think it would be really easy, but it's been okay. So that's why the idea came about, was about the Archive Project. In my years as an appraiser, in many years, we've come across many, many collections over the years that in archives and collections that need help, from basic organization to helping place them in institutions. And in some cases, many cases, we were very successful in working with them and finding them a home, getting them organized, but in some cases we were not. And Rebecca Lefkoff, who we sadly lost this in the past couple of weeks at the great age of 94, is a case in point. When we met Rebecca a number of years ago, it became apparent that the archive needed a tremendous amount of work, more than we could handle, and that the family had very limited funds. And this particular experience haunted me for the past 5 years, and that's what actually led me to thinking, okay, when I have time in life that I can do something else besides, because I have a wonderful partner, Edward Yee, who helps run my business, or runs my business, then I would have time to do this. So that's how this came about. In brief, the Archive Project, as we're calling it, gets underway. We're going to strive to offer free or very limited cost initial consultation services for artists and archives. We hope to set up access to interns. We're setting up a program of where we can get interns to work on archives. Set up relationships with archivists, some of whom we will be speaking, you'll meet today. Find institutions willing to take the work and help negotiate the placements of the work, because that's the key part here, and work with appraisers to value the work. So that's the core part of the Archive Project, which is basically be an arm, an adjunct to APAG, just to, something that with my help that we can do, since there'll be, not just Mary trying to do everything as she has been doing. So we hope that many of you will need our services in the future and that we can help you. That's the whole point of this. Many of the presenters have given us handouts to give. We decided there were so many in terms of environmentally correct, we decided that we would email them to you. If anybody can't get them by email, we're happy to print them out, but in the next few days we'll put them all together and just send an email. Or we'll put them up on the APAG site as a download. We'll decide which is ever the easiest, but we have quite a few, so we want to make sure that you all get those. And also, we're having this Q&A, as you can see on your programs, from 3:30 to 5:30. And the way that we're going to try to do this is, the idea was to give you all more kind of breakout sessions and individual. So at lunchtime, You'll have cards that are on the table, and you can write a question on them for any of the panelists or the whole panel that you've seen in the morning, or the individual panelists, or looking at your afternoon panel, who you won't have heard yet, but you can see what it's about and who the people are, and direct a question to them. And then what will happen after the third panel is that we will break out into 3 rooms, and each of those rooms will have the panelists from almost all the panelists are staying. Maybe we might lose 2, but I think we have about 8 people. And so each room will have one of the panels represented. And if that's where you've directed your question, you'll go to that room. The questions will be numbered, so you'll say, oh, I'm number 5. I don't have to stay right now. I think I'll go to the other room and listen about legal stuff, because I've actually asked a question about conservation. So you can wander back. We'll explain this more thoroughly. It's a very complicated idea that I came up with, but we'll explain it again at lunchtime. But the idea is that there'll be smaller groups, and you can talk one-on-one and start to dialogue between you. But the questions are open. I mean, people will just... Because our Q&A periods are only about 15 minutes, so we want your Q&A time to be very, very brief questions, and the panelists will deal with them as they can, but then this 2-hour session will give you much longer time to talk about more specifics. So thank you all for coming, and thank you for the panelists for all your time. And can I have the first 3, please?